1. An entitled Karen asked me for my tip back. I gave it back to her because I don't want dirty money in my hands. So, I'm a 21-year-old female and was at a new place that had currently opened. Therefore, I was new to working in this establishment. I've been working as a waitress for 2 years beforehand, and then I came here. It was open for only 2 months when this story happened, and I was still getting used to it. For context, I work as a waitress at an arcade that also has a restaurant. We serve many meals, and the arcade and restaurant provides play cards. Not the actual name, but I don't wish to get fired for saying where I work. And people are allowed to take their drinks to the arcade area as long as they don't leave the establishment. Servers are allowed to either sell or recharge you a play card, or even multiple at once. If you're a member of the establishment's app, you can get points in your play card for eating at the restaurant, and a server will gladly swipe it for your points to be registered. It was a nice Friday morning, and it got completely ruined when the host, Emoji, approached me about an entitled kid. "Hey Maggie, I know your section is from 595 to 597 and 586 to 588, but I set you a guest on table 594. I'll warn you right now, talk to a manager, because she'll bring hell upon you." She can't be that mad. "Try again, sweetie. She wanted that whole booth over there because she doesn't want to be around people, but that section is closed. I can't just give her a whole booth that only provides tables for 4 to 6 people. And that's not your area, sweetie." Okay, so a Karen got it. Thanks for the heads up. I go to introduce myself, and as I'm doing so, I only manage to say hi, my name, before she cut me off. She already goes, "Can me and my 2 grandchildren sit there? We don't want to be next to people, and we're next to people." I calmly explained that we cannot do that, and that we sat her in a booth that has enough space between a table of 2 people, and the party I was serving was 2 tables away. She frowns and asks something about, "Can't you accommodate the customer?" And I tell her, still politely but firmly, that we had accommodated her enough and that I was already attending her off my section. She still didn't let me introduce myself when she already gives me the order for herself and her 2 grandkids, stating she was starving, the kids were starving even more, and that I need to hurry with the drinks because they don't have enough energy. I politely smile, and as I walk away, a miracle happened. There, upon my eyesight and vision, near the kitchen expo, was Bert. Hooray for me. Bert is one of our managers. "Bert, I must warn you right now, if the guest in table 594 complains about anything, just know she was difficult with Emoji and was kinda rude with me, you see," and I proceed to explain everything that happened in a comedic and dramatic type of way, while still saying it serious enough for him to understand. "Yikes, so she's a Karen. Got it. If she's acting difficult or tells you anything you don't like, come to either me, Susan, or Jake, our other 2 managers, or me, okay? I have a break soon, but I'll let the others know. Cook will be too busy taking care of the kitchen. Bert, you're the best and I love you." "Who doesn't, Maggie? Who doesn't?" "Me, if you don't shut the Karen up." "Ouch. Honestly, same in your shoes." When I bring the entitled Karen and her grandkids, 12 female and 9 or 10 male, her drinks, she tells me about the points in her play card. She didn't use the term points, and that's important for later. I tell her I didn't understand what she was talking about, mostly because she referred to the points as money, which I didn't know what she meant at the time, and I told her that I was new, and since I didn't understand her, I would talk to a manager to do that for her once she was ready to close her tab. I leave her at that because thankfully the party table was calling for me. Thank the Burger Lord, and I went to serve them. In the meantime, some other servers bring Karen's grandkids meals, seeing as I was waitressing another big table. I was on my way to the bar to pick up a drink, when Karen stopped me. I think you forgot to mark up my food." "No, ma'am, the kids' meals usually come out beforehand. I assure you your meal will come out shortly, as I know the kitchen is not as occupied today." Her food came out 2 minutes later, and I was thanking the hot dog lord this time, since she complained about her food missing. A few minutes passed, and she asked me for the tab. I politely looked for it, She gave me $6 tip in cash. I took her to the big tablet where I was about to swipe her card, and then she stopped, reminding me about what she told me earlier, getting money for eating. I nod and tell her, I'll do that, but let me swipe your card, please. I swiped it 6 times since the system was not reading it correctly. I swiped it too fast for it to recognize her card.
What do you think you're doing? If you swipe that many times, my card will get blocked.
Oh no, ma'am, it just didn't read it correctly, as I swiped it too fast. Please don't worry. Even if it read it that many times, there will only be 1 transaction, and the rest will get voided, meaning that it will not charge you for the extra swipes. Now please stay in this corner. As I go to the host to call me a manager that can help me with the offer you explained to me. I'll be waiting there to explain when he or she comes and settles something.
Fine.
I gave her the voucher, explained where to sign after solving the issue, and go towards Emoji. Emoji calls the manager, and the only one available is Susan, who's finishing something up in the other side of the establishment. Cook was to arrive later, Bert wasn't done with his break yet, and Jake was solving something else in his office. I wait for Susan, promptly around 3 minutes, while I talk to Emoji about when the one who'll take my section would arrive, when I planned on taking a break, and he was planning on when to cut me off so I had time to pick up my section. All of a sudden I see Karen and her grandkids walk away. I ask if she was okay and if she still wanted her tab open, thinking she was taking them to the bathroom while they waited, which is understandable, as it's on the other side of the establishment as well. But she ignored me. I shrug and see my party table calling for me. So I go to them, give them their check, close Karen's tab since she left her signed voucher and a $5 tip. She took back $1. There, while she ignored me. Probably not the best idea, but I didn't know what to do. I have learned from this. I close the party check, and guess who comes back? If you guess Karen and or Susan, you're the winner. Both of them come in, and Susan takes over the big tablet when she notices Karen's check is closed. Maggie, why did you close her tab? I waited by the host for you, Susan, and told her to stay here. When I saw her walking away, I asked if she wanted her tab opened, she ignored me, and her voucher was signed, which wasn't signed when I waited for a host manager. Another server had told me she walked away, and since I had everything I needed to close her tab, I closed it.
Well, you shouldn't have closed it. Are you a little loose screwed in your head?
I blinked, taken aback by this statement.
Now I won't get my points.
You said money earlier, ma'am.
I got confused, but you should have known what I meant. Now I won't get my points.
Susan explains that I'm new and that we didn't cover that in our training 100%, so it could be that I got it mixed up, and that I couldn't exactly leave her as a walkout if I had her signed voucher, and then proceeded to invite her to a free $30 recharge. Karen says to Susan,
I genuinely don't know why you hired her, and I don't know how she wasn't fired yet. She was bad at customer service, didn't listen when a customer asked for a manager, and swiped my card like 6 times. If my card gets blocked, I'm suing her and making her pay for all the money in my bank account.
Me, who had already had it up to here and couldn't take any more, says, Ma'am, I politely explained that your card was only read once because our system didn't read it the first 5 times. Susan was swatting my thigh subtly with her hand. Maggie, shh, I got this.
I feel repulsed just looking at her. It's making me want to lose my appetite. She doesn't deserve the money she gets here. You know what? Give me back my money.
I looked her dead in the eyes and said, Gladly, ma'am, I don't need your $5, and hand the $5 bill in her hand, putting my wallet on the table to organize it again, seeing as some of my money had fallen out and was being shown to Karen accidentally.
I'm sorry, but you don't deserve it. You're the worst server I've ever met, and I don't think you're in the right job field. Try being in the back of a shoe store so you don't treat people as rudely as you did me. You're a bad person, and I hope bad things happen to you in this job.
I'm looking at and whispering to Susan, I'm done here. If she's going to insult me, I might as well walk away. I have a new table to attend. Then Susan says, No, you're coming with me. Karen leaves the establishment. I follow Susan and stop to let my table know that I will be right back. I have an issue to attend to, but I'll be coming here as soon as I may. Susan takes me toward Jake and Cook, asking what happened. I won't say she's in the right, but I will give her credit. You should have waited for a manager to help if you didn't know how to do something. And I did. I explained to her, Jake and Cook, how horrid she was to me and Emoji, how she didn't let me do my job the right way, and I started tearing up. She made me have a bad day, and insulting me was just a cherry on top to my mild anxiety. I only work as a waitress since I've noticed it helps me various times to come out of my shell. Bert walks back from his break and sees me, asking what happened. I guess complained about her, insulted her in the face. It was ugly. Do you need a bathroom break, Maggie? You're crying, says Jake. Then Bert looks at me, asking, was it the same guest you told me about earlier? Susan, Jake, and Cook whip their heads toward him in shock, then at me, in which I nod. That was the same lady? Ugh, no wonder Emoji told me we had a wild one, said Susan. I'm so sorry. Now, go to the bathroom, clean yourself up, and I'll let your table know you'll be back shortly. Don't worry about your dirty tables, I'll tell a busser to set them up for you. I tell her the table already knows I would be coming to them later. I cried a bit in the bathroom, and a guest saw me, hugged me, and comforted me. And then the guests at the new table saw me teary-eyed and offered hugs as well. Apparently, Karen came back with the kids after my shift was over and complained about how her next $30 recharge should be paid by me, to make up for the bad time she had. Bert had to kick her out of the establishment for the night because she caused a second tantrum when they, as in the managers, refused to take her offer of taking the $30 off my paycheck to recharge her play card a second time. 2. I used to work for a company where we went into schools in our area to perform a free 1-hour wacky science show, teaching kids the importance of saving water. Our local area relies on aquifers, underground porous rock that stores rainfall, for the majority of our water. So it's important to teach kids both about how the water cycle works, where we live, and about not wasting water. This incident occurred 5 years ago. Just came up in my Facebook memories. Myself and my colleague were at a school in a very affluent area, performing an hour water show, teaching the kids in our own inimitable, irreverent way. The school had invited parents into the assembly, so we had about 30 or so parents seated at the back of the hall, along with the 200 or so kids. After the show, which went down an absolute treat, my colleague had gone to collect the car, couldn't park near the school, whilst I had remained behind to tidy up and move all our kit to the front entrance to the school, where he would be pulling up. Suddenly, a parent came up to speak to me. Hello, do you mind if I have a quick word? Of course not. Well, let me start off by telling you how fantastic that show was. I'm waiting for the but. Thank you very much. But... there it is. I was wondering if you noticed that you picked more boys than girls as your volunteers, rather than an equal number of each. You're asking me if I realized that I didn't pick an equal number of boys and girls as my volunteers. Yes. Yes, I was aware of this. Mainly because we need an odd number of volunteers in the show. It's very difficult to keep the numbers of each equal when the total number is odd. Karen looks at me whilst trying to think. Did you notice that whilst we picked 4 boys and 2 girls for the aquifer experiment, we picked a girl as a solo volunteer for the toothbrushing experiment? And the toothbrushing volunteer does a lot more than the aquifer volunteers do. So yesterday, when we did this exact same show in a different school, we had 4 girls and 2 boys for the aquifer experiment, and then a boy for the toothbrush. We always try to keep things as fair as possible. I'm just saying, because my daughters were here today, and I want them to enjoy science. Well, hopefully they did. I also noticed that your banner indicates the pop-up banner off to one side, that you have 2 boys and 1 girl on that. That's hardly equal. True, but with the size of the banner, 3 children was the right number. 2 would have left too much empty space, whilst 4 would have been too crowded. Then why didn't they pick 2 girls? Because we made several mock-ups of the banner and showed them to different children, and the most popular design was that one. Well, I don't think you may be pleased to see that the fun pack that each child gets to take home has 1 boy and 1 girl on the cover. I pick up a pack and show her. That's nice. Karen walks off and a teacher comes over to me. What was that all about? Apparently, I need to find a way to pick an equal number of boys and girls, despite the total number adding up to an odd total. Because you didn't pick either of her 2 daughters as any of your handful of volunteers out of 200 children in the school. It would seem that way. What did you say to her? Basically that 7 isn't divisible by 2, but across multiple schools, we make sure to keep things equal. And what does she say? That's nice. 3. This was like 4 separate incidents involving the same lady, and I was only working one of the shifts. So I'll be writing what I know, but I don't have a play-by-play of everything. I work retail at a Canadian clothing store in a small retirement community. So we get a lot of seniors coming in, and they sometimes have grandchildren or adult children with them. This particular woman came in while 2 of my co-workers were working. I was off this day, and her granddaughter may be 9 years old. When she came up to the counter, my one co-worker, Jessica, went to the back to go to the bathroom. This woman turns to my other co-worker, Emily, and asks if she can use the bathroom. Emily tries to explain that there is someone in there, and that per corporate policy, she isn't allowed to use our bathroom anyway. This woman goes off, starts yelling about how she's had kids and you can't control your bowels after that, and that she is going to shit her pants. She then threatens to shit on the floor if we don't let her use the bathroom. Through some miracle, Emily gets her out the door and tells her, "Have a nice day," as she's leaving. A week or 2 later, this woman comes back with her granddaughter, while Emily and Jessica are working again. She marches up to the desk and says, "I made it to the bathroom. Were you worried?" Emily says, "No, that isn't my concern. Is there something in the store I can help you with?" This, of course, sets the shit her pants lady off. She starts yelling about how she called corporate and is going to get her fired. How dare Emily tell her to have a nice day? Just generally yelling at my poor co-workers. Emily and Jessica both refuse to help her, and eventually she leaves, still angry. Another few weeks go by, and I'm working with Jessica when she comes back, once again dragging her poor granddaughter with her. She was fine when I was helping her find clothes and pulling them off the racks for her. But once I got up to the cash desk and my coworker wasn't near us, she tells me that Emily refused to let her use the bathroom. "Oh yeah, sorry about that. It's a loss prevention thing." This woman puts her hand up in my face and yells, "I don't want to hear your corporate excuses. I hate when you just repeat whatever head office tells you to say. I already called them about your store, you know. I told them that if I couldn't use the bathroom, I was going to shit on the floor." I laughed a little, just because I was very uncomfortable, and she yells again, "You think it's funny? I'm not joking. I would." "Ma'am, I'm sorry. There's nothing." She holds her hand up in my face again. "Believe me, I wish I could go off our corporate script, but I need my job. Here's your total. Will that be cash or card?" She pulls out a card, and as she's paying, she starts ranting. "At one of your other stores, I lost my debit card. And the little shit who was working said, 'Have a nice day,' as I left. She didn't even say, 'I hope you find your card.'" She rants some more. I finished the transaction. By this point, Jessica has come back up to the front and is just staring like WTF. A woman leaves with her poor granddaughter. And now, about 2 weeks later, she came in. Minus the granddaughter, looking for Emily. She refused to serve her and instead got our manager. This woman even tried to evade being checked out by the manager, but eventually caved, and as she's being rung through, starts yelling about her bags to the manager. No one on our team knows why she's mad, but that didn't stop her from yelling. Our manager rings her through and gets her out the door, while Emily is standing a few feet away watching. That's the last we heard from her, but it was only a few days ago. Hopefully she doesn't come back. 4. I'm guessing everybody runs into entitled people, but some of the worst are those who think they're communicating when they're not. Example. In the summer after my freshman year, I met and started dating this really major babe. Let's call her Barb, because why not? Who was also in college, but in a different college. When we met, we were both back home for the summer. Our relationship was zinging along nicely, but I figured it was a summer fling. We weren't discussing exclusivity because we were nowhere near one another while in school. She was in a specialized field of art, at a school that specialized in that field. I was in a large land-grant college that had a lot of different majors, and while I assumed they were all about the same quality of good as my own major, we were considered in the top 3 in my major among public colleges versus private ones. I didn't know if this was true. She told me that she planned to transfer to my college. I asked her if this was because of me and us, or if it was because they had a better program. She insisted that it was just for the program, not for me. In some ways, that saddened me. I was hoping and thinking she was doing it for me and us, as if we were together like that, the reason for keeping this relationship light, because of the distance between us, would no longer apply. But she insisted no, and we kind of drifted apart a little, as I was disappointed. I would have liked to take it to the next level, but only if we would be close enough to make that possible. Anyway, when we got back to college, Barb was busy getting connected into her new program, while I was exactly where I wanted to be. Then I ran into a casual friend from my old high school, May. Back in the real world, we'd only dated once. I took her to graduation dance because dating a new grad was the only way into the dance party. However, we quickly took it to the next level. By the time I again ran into Barb, May and I were thick as thieves. Hell, we were engaged, though no ring had traded hands yet. I made that happen on Christmas Day by working 2 jobs over the Christmas break. Barb got very angry and hurt, claiming I should have known she had transferred to my school to be near me, even though she had denied this. She said she was entitled to be with me, even though I had moved on, because look at the sacrifice I made. My college's specific art program was nowhere near as high quality as the one she'd left. Of course, I refused to give her credit for feelings she'd denied, but man, was she pissed. I understood why, but 1, she'd lied to me about why she was transferring to my college. 2, she'd hurt my feelings, crushed any developing feelings of like, love, and attraction by denying I had anything to do with her changing schools. And 3, she had made no effort to reach out at the start of the school year, as soon as we were both in the same college. In fact, having not heard from her, I didn't know if she'd even transferred. Sometimes it pays to speak the truth, especially if you're expecting a positive outcome like Barb was. May and I made it work for 13, 14 years before I made the biggest mistake of my life and let our marriage crash. But that was all my fault, and is another story. 5. I share a 2-bedroom and 2-bathroom apartment with someone who gets triggered by the most minor things. She thrives on conflict. I do my best not to cause conflict, but that is nearly impossible with this 38-year-old woman who works from home. For example, she doesn't want me to be around some of the common areas, such as the small outdoor patio, because she told me her stuff is there. She has a lot of stuff, by the way. She has so much stuff that she feels the need to put some of it in the living room and on the patio. She also told me she is a germaphobe. She doesn't want me to touch anything, such as the light switches, doorknobs, refrigerator handle, or kitchen sink handle, or if I do, I need to wipe it down, because she thinks my hands are gross and sweaty. I decided to tolerate it as long as she was paying rent. I'll let her seize those areas and avoid touching a few things, but my patience started to run out when she became a deadbeat. She texted me she would pay me on the week of June 19th. She needed to pay me on June 1st. But I made the mistake of trusting her. Every time I tried to text her about rent, she was vague about it. I'm a bit frustrated, not only at myself, but at her too. I submitted paperwork to get her evicted. Today, I decided to lie in front of the sliding glass patio doors to get some sunlight. When roommate Karen arrived and saw me sitting near her stuff, she freaked out. She rudely called me out and told me not to sit near her stuff. I asked her when she'll pay me back. She ignored me and walked into her room. Then, 15 to 20 minutes later, she walked out while talking on the phone. I asked her again, and she ignored me. She walked around me to go outside to the patio and closed the sliding door behind her. I just chilled next to her stuff in front of the sliding door. That's when I decided that as soon as she left the patio, I'll protest by going out to the patio. When she came out of the patio, I went out and closed the sliding door behind me. After 20 minutes there, I was dumbfounded that she hadn't tried to argue with me yet. That's when I caught a glimpse of her on the phone on the other side of the sliding glass patio doors, glancing at me and hearing her say, "He's sitting on the floor watching videos on his phone." I didn't think much of it. She was probably telling her friend how triggered I was, which is the reaction I wanted. 10 minutes later, a female cop opened the sliding door. I was baffled because I knew I didn't break any laws. I did not harass, raise my voice, throw insults, show violent aggression, touch, or threaten my roommate. The cop asked me what was going on. I nervously explained to her my roommate and I had some conflict on rent, and I added that my roommate gets mad whenever I chill on the patio. First, she told me my roommate can take a walk if she's triggered by me sitting on the patio. Second, she asked me if I was going through the legal process of kicking her out. I said yes and showed her the emails. She told me to sit tight, then walked back inside to chat with my roommate. I heard my roommate talking loudly. I couldn't make out what she was saying. I was worried. Worst case, she could lie and the cops take her side. Best case, she is trying to convince them that I am the worst roommate ever. During a recent argument, I asked my roommate what happened. She said she called the cops for my behavior and was telling them what I did. After 10 minutes, the cop returned and told me my roommate was rambling about stuff. I just nodded because it didn't surprise me. She went back inside. My roommate told me that since I was informative and relaxed and she wasn't, the cops sided with me. The cops bluntly told her she was at fault for not paying rent and it was okay for me to ask her about it. The cops were displeased at her for calling them when she could have communicated with me about unpaid rent. After 10 more minutes, the cop came back and told me they couldn't do anything and that this was a civil matter. We were told to avoid and not talk to each other, then they left. My roommate went to get her blood pressure checked by a paramedic. She returns later to her room to lament. "Fuck you, Karen. I'll be sitting in the common area next to your stuff." A while after that incident, we had a 3-hour convo about late rent. She ended up punching me and being the aggressor. I'm still shaken by what happened. P.S. She is a vocal anti-vaxxer and she vehemently hates the Juneteenth holiday. So she might be racist. Also, I haven't texted her, but she keeps texting me for some reason. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Idiots in the Wild, episode 120. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Please poke the like button before you go. If you'd like to get the videos a little bit earlier, you can support the channel on a monthly basis by supporting however much or however little you like through Patreon. And you'll also find in the description a link to the Hellfreezer merchandise store on Teespring. And you can make donations through streams and videos as you please. This is never required, but it does help pay the bills and is appreciated. And before we go on, we have a little birthday shout-out to do, and today's shout-out goes to Lola Forever. I'm not sure how old they are, or actually when the birthday is, so we'll do it today. I'm assuming it's sometime this week, and that's okay. I hope you have a great birthday, Lola. I certainly hope things pick up for you and the year turns around. We all deserve happiness. We all deserve good times. But it's important that you take a moment for yourself today. You take some time. Do what you want to do. Have a good meal. Watch a movie or something, or go someplace you like to go if you can. Make sure it's your day and you spend as much time on you as possible. And of course, the rest of the month, as is the rules here on this channel. Before I go, I'd like to sing Happy Birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Lola. Happy birthday to you. Okay, now let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is Coke versus Pepsi. Do you care? Does it matter? Or do you just not like cola? Please do let me know what you think in a comment below. Personally, I used to love Pepsi Max, but I can't drink any of it anymore. But I'd love to read your comments. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.